The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the program's participants and do not necessarily reflect those of station staff, management, and advertisers.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Monday. It is Pushing the Limits. Thank you so much for being here. Plenty to get to today. Of course, we're on the YouTube page at PTL Radio Show, pushingthelimits.live, the FMAM radio dial here in Las Vegas, KSHP. And, of course, we're everywhere. We're on Twitch. We're on X. We're all over the place. And we appreciate you guys being a part of the ever-so-fast-growing Pushing the Limits radio show / podcast is what I would call it now. Special guest coming up here in studio at the bottom of the hour. She is the former chair for the Republican Party here in the state of Nevada. She used to be a huge Trumper. She is now anti-Donald Trump. She is on the right side of history. And she is somebody that I would consider now a moderate Republican. The former Nevada Republican chair, Amy Tarkanian, is going to be joining us in studio at the bottom of the hour, so certainly looking forward to that and a lot to get to with her. I want to start right off the bat by saying this because I've thought a lot about it. And in recent shows, I have praised Marjorie Taylor Greene for at least being on the right side when it comes to these Epstein files. And we're going to get to more of the Epstein files and why Donald Trump now is telling Republicans to vote yes to release the files. There's a very logical explanation for that. But I am not going to sit here and praise Marjorie Taylor Greene anymore. First of all, we shouldn't have to be praising anybody for wanting the Epstein files released and victims getting justice. We shouldn't have to praise people for that. That's number one. Number two, where was Marjorie Taylor Greene? Because now she's crying victim. She's crying about the vicious attacks she's received and the threats that she's received, some of them death threats, which, by the way, I don't condone. Where was she when they were yelling out and chanting, "Hang Mike Pence"? Did you see what Donald Trump did to Mike Pence? By the way, Mike Pence, another enabler that I will never, ever defend. Where was Marjorie Taylor Greene when Donald Trump was attacking Gold Star families? Where was Marjorie Taylor Greene when literally Democrats and even some Republicans were getting death threats because of Donald Trump's rhetoric? Where has Marjorie Taylor Greene for the last 9 years? Where's she been? I am not going to sit here and praise Marjorie Taylor Greene. She is a phony, and she is one of the reasons why Donald Trump is in the position he's in now and why the country's in a position that it's in now. And now all of a sudden Marjorie's saying, well, my kids' premiums and health care is going to go way up. Where the hell were you for the last 9 years when Donald Trump was saying there was going to be a replacement plan? But now all of a sudden, I'll tell you why. Because you knew that Donald Trump was not going to back you for re-election. You knew it. You knew it. Where were you then? Where have you been, Marjorie? Really, I want to know. Where have you been? Now, all of a sudden, Marjorie, we're supposed to feel sorry for you? Where were you on January 6th? You defended those who beat police officers with their own batons, and now we're supposed to feel sorry for you? So let me be very clear here. I do not feel 1 ounce, not 1 ounce of feeling any sorrow for Marjorie Taylor Greene. She reaps what she sows. She has enabled and defended Donald Trump for years. I don't feel sorry for her one bit. She's part of the reason why we're in this situation now. While I don't condone any death threats, I don't condone any of the harassment, I'm also going to say I don't feel sorry for her at all. And while all this is going on, Donald Trump is now saying House Republicans should vote for the Epstein files. Well, here's a spoiler alert for you. Donald Trump has also told Pam Bondi to open up a new investigation into Jeffrey Epstein and the Epstein files. While that happens, I guarantee you Pam Bondi in the next week will make an announcement to a new investigation, and that is the reason why they won't be able to release the files. So, again, Donald Trump making it sound like because he's right that his supporters are so stupid, and so many of them are. That's why he's doing this. We know that his name is literally all over the Epstein files. I've been very clear that I think there was sex trafficking going on at Mar-a-Lago. I'm very clear, and I've been very clear, that I believe Donald Trump was on Epstein Island. I'm very clear, and I've been very clear, that Donald Trump is attracted to young teenage girls. But according to Megyn Kelly, if they're not 8 years old but they're 14, I guess that makes it totally fine. And one of the two things that MAGA Republicans are talking about today, the Trump mushroom gobblers today, are obsessed over the fact at Crooks, the guy who, the 22-year-old who attempted to assassinate Donald Trump, the fact that he might have been attracted to transgenders, that's what they're focused on today. They don't want to talk about the Epstein files, or if they do want to talk about, oh, see, Donald Trump is being transparent. He's got nothing to hide. They don't want to talk about inflation 5 months in a row on the rise. They don't want to talk about the fact that the economy is headed to the crapper. They don't want to talk about the fact we're headed towards a recession, or that people are losing their food stamps and their health care benefits. They want to focus on the fact that somebody who's already dead in Crooks, who attempted to assassinate Donald Trump, might have been attracted to transgenders. It is such a joke, and it is so pathetic. And while all this is going on, it gets worse. Have you seen Kate Boyden over the weekend? Again, defending Donald Trump and defending, in my opinion, what is a pedophile. They curl themselves into a pedophile MAGA Republican pretzel. Kate Boyden did it over the weekend on national television. Have a listen to this.
The president has not been accused of any crimes or wrongdoing as it relates to Jeffrey Epstein or these files, even with these emails being released. That's one thing that we need to make clear. But
yet,
one thing about...
He has not been charged yet. Yes.
Yeah, there's no accusations, though, of any wrongdoing so far.
He's not in the files. No accusations of any wrongdoing so far. You want to talk about moving the goalpost? That's exactly what that is. And then there's Representative Jason Smith, who makes the case that because Jeffrey Epstein was dead for years, we should just forget about all this. Again, have a listen to this.
Your thoughts about this Washington Post report. It's text messaging appearing to be between Epstein and Congresswoman Plaskett during the hearing in 2019 in February in real time, what appears to be influencing the questioning by the Representative Plaskett. Your thoughts, and is this concerning?
Well, just the fact that Epstein's been dead for years, and this is the topic of conversation, it's not something that I hear from people when I travel back home in Missouri. They care about the affordability crisis. But, release all the information. Let the public see everything about who's connected and who's not connected with Epstein, and let's move on and solve the real problems at hand. That's my focus.
No, I understand that. I think it's when you have a congressional leader that somehow is influenced by someone having access to them, and you're a chairman on a committee. That's why I ask you. That may mean something to you if one of your committee members is on their phone receiving text messages allegedly from the Washington Post. You don't want that, whether it's Epstein or Smith or any name. That is unacceptable, is it not?
I want every member of Congress to be held to the highest standard whenever they're acting on behalf of their constituents. This was not in my committee. She does serve on my committee, but it was not during my committee.
Well, I'm Jason Smith. And when I travel back home to Missouri, this isn't something that I hear about from my constituents. Hey, you dumbass. Almost every single MAGA supporter was talking about the Epstein files, and they pretty much ran on the fact that they were going to release them. You imbecile, you. For years and years, we hear about how the left, they're a bunch of pedophiles, and it's, left-wing Hollywood, they're a bunch of pedophiles. But now all of a sudden, and you want to talk to me about, well, we need to figure out who is associated with Jeffrey Epstein. Hey, dumbass, you're the guy who voted for Jeffrey Epstein's best friend. You're the guy who voted for the guy that was on the Epstein flight log list over 7 times. And now you want to make the case, well, let's just talk about the affordability crisis. Then why did you vote for the big, beautiful bill, you scumbag, you? You phony right-wing buffoon. You Trump mushroom gobbler piece of human garbage. And then there's Barrasso, speaking of mushroom Trump gobblers. Barrasso, listen to the way these people tried to deflect and defend. It really is unreal. Have a listen to this.
Trump this week asked the Justice Department to investigate Jeffrey Epstein's involvement and relationship with some top Democrats. And yet, in July, the Justice Department and the FBI released a memo about the Epstein case that said, quote, "We did not uncover evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties." Senator, if there wasn't evidence to justify further investigation in July, why is there evidence now?
I'm not sure what evidence is out there. What I do know is that the House is going to vote this week, try to make a decision, and we'll see if they send something to the Senate. And if they do, we'll take a look at that. But we want transparency and accountability. What I also know is that Jeffrey Epstein is a convicted sex offender, and he is dead. And President Trump threw him out of Mar-a-Lago 21 years ago. To me, what's going on with the Epstein, what's going on also with the shutdown, is this is the Democrats trying to appeal to their far left base and trying to change the topic from a failed shutdown, which hurt many, many Americans, like a lot of people I was with last night at a veterans event in Wyoming, where they wanted to talk about the pain each one of them experiences in the shutdown, and Epstein never came up for discussion.
Yeah, just a reminder to this other mushroom Trump gobbler that for the first several months of this administration, it was actually all the MAGA activists who were calling for the Epstein files to be released. Bondi, Patel, Bongino, they all promised it. And then when Trump freaked out because he realized that he was all over the files, they all reversed their positions. This was certainly not initiated by Democrats, and Barrasso is a complete buffoon. Now, I think Coons says it best, because a lot of people were asking questions over the weekend as to why Donald Trump now all of a sudden changed course and wants Republicans to vote yes to release the Epstein files. Well, there's perfectly a logical explanation for it. It's not that all of a sudden Donald Trump had an epiphany and he all of a sudden he cares about the victims and doesn't care that people are going to find out that he's all over the files, right? Well, Coons has a really good grasp of why Donald Trump is doing this. It's really important. Have a listen to this.
What's the plan in terms of getting the House passed resolution in front of the Senate? How soon will that happen? How soon will these Republicans get a chance to reverse their votes and try to clean up their act?
So this is going to be an interesting week. My gut hunch is that Attorney General Bondi, having just been ordered on social media by the president to open an investigation into a series of high-profile Democrats, will promptly say, oh, no, there's an ongoing investigation. We can't disclose any of this. And the president will back that up. But you are absolutely right. We should be going to the floor every day and doing unanimous consent requests that say we should see these files now. We owe it to the victims. We owe it to transparency. Trump ran on, I will release the Epstein files on day one, and has done everything possible, including hauling Lauren Boebert into the Situation Room for a closed-door muscle session. This is just a despicable act of betraying the victims of Epstein. It's long past time that we get transparency around this for the American people.
I agree. Coons is a pretty smart guy, and he said it best. The reason why Donald Trump is doing this is because he knows that Pam Bondi probably is going to make the announcement that they now can't release the files because there's a new investigation that I'm sure will last years. That's why Donald Trump is all of a sudden saying this, because he's trying to save face. Because he knows so many of the people that voted for him are so ignorant and stupid, they believe him. Speaking of Donald Trump, he was melting down over the weekend. Getting out of Air Force One, he was asked by a reporter about Epstein. And listen to Donnie getting a little upset when he claims a reporter from Bloomberg interrupted him.
Tell him. Will you let me finish my statement? You are the worst. You're with Bloomberg, right? You are the worst. I don't know why they even have you.
Yeah, there you go. When somebody asks Donald Trump a question that he doesn't want to answer, he goes on the attack. Here's another example. That same reporter asks Donald Trump about the Epstein files, but again, he doesn't really want to talk about it. I wonder why. Listen to this.
They would like to talk.
Mr. President, Representative Massey says he's concerned that the Epstein probe you are calling for could be a smokescreen to block the release of more files. Is that the case?
Well, I don't want to talk about it because fake news like you're a terrible reporter, and fake news like you, they just keep bringing that up to deflect from the tremendous success of the Trump administration. So a guy like Massey, his poll numbers are showing he's at 6% approval rating right now. And we call him Rand Paul Jr. because he never votes for the Republican Party. So they're using Jeffrey Epstein as a deflection from the tremendous success that we're having as a party.
Yeah, sure. I don't want to talk about it. Let's talk about everything else. Let's attack Massey's wife who passed away. Let's blame Epstein for murdering his prior wife. Or I'm sorry, not Epstein. Excuse me. I wasn't talking about Epstein in that specific statement. Talking about Thomas Massey. But he doesn't want to talk about Epstein. He doesn't want to talk about that. He wants to talk about the numbers. He wants to attack others that bring up Epstein. He wants to talk about everything and anything but the Epstein files. I wonder why. If he was so innocent, wouldn't he release them? And then the stupid argument I hear from MAGA Republicans, why didn't Joe Biden release the Epstein files? Well, because for years they were sealed up because there was another trial going on called the Maxwell trial. But these stupid MAGA Republicans will believe everything that they hear. And here is Donald Trump speaking of believing everything you hear. This is Donald Trump talking about how things are so great and prices are going down. Every single time he says this, so many of his stupid supporters believe it. But it's a lie. Listen to Donald Trump lie about inflation and lie about the economy over the weekend once again.
The prices are coming down. The Democrats like to use the word affordability, but their affordability was terrible. The problem with the Democrats, they lie. They do it so well. They talk about affordability, but I'm the one that's getting the prices down. As an example, they had the highest inflation in the history of our country. I have it down now to a normal level, and it's going down further. Thank you very much, everybody.
Let me be very, very clear. Donald Trump is lying again. Prices are certainly not going down. And inflation actually started to increase after he started his stupid trade war with all of these tariffs against basically the world. Food inflation right now is nearly twice it was in Biden's last year. Inflation has been going up every single month for the past 5 months. But every single time Donald Trump says prices are going down, his stupid supporters, and boy, there's so many of them, believe him. And let me get you. At this point, if you still are all in with Donald Trump and you still support him and you're all in, there's something wrong with you. There really is. And here is Donald Trump lying about the prison population. I mean, these are easily fact-checked. I mean, over the weekend, just lie after lie after lie that can be fact-checked. Listen to Donald Trump talk about the prison population, throwing out numbers that are complete lies. Listen to this.
So in the case of Venezuela, it's the prison population. Their almost entire prison population was released into the United States. You know what that means? Their prison population was released into the United States. And we're getting it out. We're doing an amazing job. We have a strong border now. We have everything. Our country's doing so well. But what the Biden administration did to our country should never be forgotten. And the single worst thing they did is allow 20 or 25 million people to pour into our country. People from prisons, drug dealers, mental institutions, bad people, gang members, to allow that to happen to the United States, totally unchecked and unvetted, should never be forgotten.
So first of all, let me just say that there were only about 13 million total here for decades before Biden was president. Every single word out of Donald Trump's mouth is a complete and utter lie. They want to blame immigrants for all their problems. Whether legal or illegal, they want to blame brown people for all their problems. They want to blame Joe Biden or Barack Obama or Pete Buttigieg for anything and everything that happens. When in fact, so much of what is going on right now in this country is because of Donald Trump's policies, but they don't want to take ownership or responsibility, literally, for anything. Now, health insurance is another big problem that Republicans cannot solve, and you can disagree with Obamacare, but at least Barack Obama had a plan. We call it Obamacare. And as you know, we've heard these MAGA Republicans for 9 years continually complain about Obamacare. I said this on Tim Pool's show a few weeks ago, and I couldn't believe the response I got from Tim. Whereas you guys complain about Obamacare, you think it sucks. Okay, what is your replacement plan? What is your solution? They don't have a plan. So I don't want to hear people complain about something when they don't have any solutions. But this is Donald Trump, the moron, still making the case that for somehow or some way they're going to be providing money to people to buy their own health care. Folks, this is insane. Have a listen to this.
But they buy their own health insurance. They can negotiate price. And it's going to be locked, so they can't go out and buy a Cadillac. They can go out and buy health insurance.
Yeah, so that's not how it works, by the way. That's not how it works. What this moron fails to understand is that when it comes to affordable health care, the fact that he thinks that they can just allocate funds, what, $20, $30 to have people pay for their own health care. He has no idea how much money health care is for the average everyday American. And by the way, one person absolutely cannot negotiate a price for health insurance. Individual plans are more expensive than the group plans on the ACA. But you see, I guess Donald Trump either doesn't understand that, has no idea what he's talking about, or he's intentionally lying. It's one of those or maybe all of the above. Before the ACA, insurance companies could shut people out for pre-existing conditions. This is what, the country is facing right now. But yet, if you listen to Donald Trump, the lies continue. All prices are going down. I've ended 9 wars. The war in Ukraine is going to be over in a day. There's peace in the Middle East. Every single day. But the problem is on these idiots that support him still. And that's what you are, by the way. If you still support Donald Trump, you're an idiot in my eyes. But what they fail to understand is when they watch their Newsmax or OAN or Fox News, they're fed lies. And they believe these lies. As Donald Trump once said, if you lie over and over again, people will start to believe it. Hence, the 2020 election was stolen. So make no mistake about it. Donald Trump doesn't want the Epstein files released. He's only saying he wants Republicans to vote for it so he doesn't take the slack when the files are not released next week, when Pam Bondi announces there's a new investigation and we can't release the files. The last thing Donald Trump wants is for people to see his name all over the Epstein files, which we know is the absolute case here. And going back to what I said earlier, I don't feel any empathy for Marjorie Taylor Greene. This is a vile woman, an ignorant woman, and I'm not going to give her any credit for saying she wants the Epstein files released. The treatment that she has had, which I don't condone, but the treatment that she has received lately for going against Trump on some issues, whether it be death threats or pizza delivery pranks or letters or voicemails, are what many other Republicans have had to deal with for a very long time because of Donald Trump's hateful rhetoric. Look at what happened to Liz Cheney. Look at what happened to Adam Kinzinger. Look at what happened to Mitt Romney for voting to impeach Donald Trump. And look at what happened to Mike Pence as they were screaming out, "Hang Mike Pence" on January 6th. You didn't hear a peep out of Marjorie Taylor Greene then. So I don't feel sorry for her, and I don't want to hear anybody feel sorry for her now. She is a phony. And the only reason why she is doing this, and I'm not going to give her the benefit of the doubt. There are some people on social media that are being too nice. I'd like to give Marjorie Taylor Greene the benefit of the doubt. No, I'm not going to give her the benefit of the doubt. Absolutely not. Why should we give this despicable woman the benefit of the doubt? Oh, yeah, and by the way, she was supposed to be on this show last week. And just like me, as she canceled on me last minute, I was texting a producer from the Piers Morgan show. Marjorie Taylor Greene was supposed to do the Piers Morgan show this morning. She canceled on Piers Morgan 30 minutes before. 30 minutes before on a national show. And she canceled. I find that interesting. Listen, say what you want about Piers Morgan. I know he would have challenged her in some ways because Piers Morgan claims that he's the friend of Donald Trump. So I would imagine that he would have pushed her a little bit. She's a phony. She's a fake. We need to stop feeling bad for Marjorie Taylor Greene. She deserves everything that she's getting. And all these MAGA Republicans out there, all of them, that continue to attack Marjorie Taylor Greene. They attack Mike Pence. They attack Mitt Romney, Liz Cheney, all the people, Adam Kinzingers of the world. You're next. As I say, time is not on your side with these relationships with Donald Trump. Eventually, it's going to falter. Eventually, he's going to come after you too. It's happened with Marjorie Taylor Greene, and it's going to happen more in the future. So I'm tired of people feeling sorry for Marjorie Taylor Greene. Should we really have to give somebody credit for wanting the Epstein files to be released? What type of country are we living in now that we have to give somebody credit for that? I'm sorry, I'm not going to do that. We are in the YouTube Super Chat, by the way, and going to the YouTube Super Chat, I want to go to Lori. Lori, thank you for your donation. Lori says, American flag should not be touching the ground. So did you see last night that the flag was down when Trump was walking to the White House? Sad. Yeah, there's a lot of things that Donald Trump does these days that are pretty sad for the country, that being one of them, Lori. So this is what MAGA seems to be focused on now. They also are focused on this guy Crooks, the 22-year-old who attempted to assassinate Donald Trump in Pennsylvania. Now they're spreading out rumors that he might be trans or he might have been attracted to trans people. That's what they're focusing on. There have been over 1,100 mass shootings in this country in the last few years. 1,100. Out of all those mass shootings, there's less than 10 that were conducted by trans people. But this is what they're focusing on. They don't want to focus on how these people got their hands on guns. They don't want to focus at all on any of this stuff. So my personal opinion on this whole thing is very, very simple. Don't feel sorry for Marjorie Taylor Greene. Don't feel sorry for anybody that is, that has supported Donald Trump and now all of a sudden they're, reaping what they sow. Don't feel sorry for these people because quite frankly, they don't deserve it. They do not deserve it. So that's my personal opinion. That's how I feel. I don't think any of us should feel sorry for Marge. I also don't understand why MAGA Republicans are obsessed over transgenders. I dealt with it in D.C. Last week when I did Tim Pool's show. I talk about it on the Piers Morgan show. I get asked a lot of questions about trans people, and I just don't understand it. They talk about drag queens. They want to ban books. They think trans people are the only people committing mass shootings. They think because the shooter in the Charlie Kirk assassination that his girlfriend or whoever was transgender, that had the reasoning behind why he did what he did. The attacks on trans people, to me, it's just bigotry. That's all it is. It's a hatred towards a group of people because you might not like their lifestyle. And I'm so sick of these MAGA Republicans who don't want to talk about health care, or if they do want to talk about health care, they want to blame the Democrats and talk about Obamacare when they have absolutely no replacement plan. They want to blame trans people for all their problems. They want to blame brown people for all their problems. They want to blame gay people for all their problems. I've just had it with these people. They're not serious people. And, as I say, again, the Trump mushroom gobblers on social media, those who have social media, the big accounts like the Benny Johnsons of the world and others, this is where I agree with Marjorie Taylor Greene, they're getting paid boatloads of money to spread propaganda and lies in defending Donald Trump. And we need to call it out every single day. It is our civil duty to call it out every single day, the nonsense and the lies. The Epstein files are not going to be released next week. If they are released, it's going to be missing quite a bit. And the excuse will be, well, we have a new investigation underway. We know why they're doing this. We know. And it was just a few days ago where Donald Trump was saying we don't have enough talented people in this country. Let's bring in 600,000 people from China because there's not enough talented people in the United States of America. It goes against everything that MAGA apparently allegedly stands for, which is America first, whether they're bailing out other countries and their economies, whether they're giving the biggest tax breaks for the top 1% and upwards of $100 billion this year alone. Is that America first? Now, I don't agree at all with the MAGA agenda. Don't get me wrong. I don't agree at all with what Donald Trump is trying to do to this country. But even those who voted for Donald Trump, even some of them with an IQ over 20, I would hope, are finally starting to realize maybe this guy didn't mean what he said. Maybe he is an America first guy. Maybe he cares more about giving tax breaks to his rich friends. Maybe he cares more about a ballroom so his family could get enriched off of that. Maybe he cares more about crypto with his family making an excess of around $1 billion this year. Maybe he cares more about that stuff and Jared Kushner receiving a $2.1 billion check from the Saudis. Maybe he cares a little bit more about this stuff in his crypto in his ballroom when Caroline Leavitt, the lying you-know-what herself, says at the podium that this is his number one priority. Well, yeah, I probably agree with her on that. It might be one of the few times she's told the truth. Certainly not his top priority to lower prices. Certainly not his top priority to lower drug prices or to lower the price of fruits and vegetables or whatever you're buying at the supermarket. It's certainly not his top priority to help those in the middle class or our brave men and women in uniform who he once called suckers and losers. Those aren't his priorities at all. You think he cares about the farmers? You think he cares about these horrible jobs reports that come out? No, he cares about his $400 million jet prize that he got from Qatar and the fact that Qatar is now going to have a military base. And, you know, don't ask me why, but sometimes when I'm driving, I go through the radio and I listen to not only buffoons in this town that do talk radio. There's not many of them, and if there are, they have about 5 listeners. And the excuses that I hear, well, I think this Qatar, you know, I really think that this air base in Idaho, it's a really bad idea, but let's not blame Donald Trump for it. Let's blame all of his advisors, as if Donald Trump has ever listened to his advisors before. These people are so stupid. Like, they don't want to put any responsibility on Trump for anything that he does. Even the Laura Loomers of the world, probably the biggest Trump mushroom gobbler of them all. She'll blame everybody else but Donald Trump. Hey, wait, this isn't what MAGA stands for. This isn't what I voted for. But let's blame his advisors. Let's blame J.D. Vance. Let me be very clear, ladies and gentlemen. The buck stops with Donald Trump. All these decisions, Donald Trump has to sign off on it. He is putting forth the directive here, whether it be a new investigation into the Epstein files. He's not doing it because he cares about the victims. He's doing it to try to protect himself so the files aren't released. Now, eventually these files are going to be released, but I feel like they will only be released after Donald Trump leaves office. That's my personal opinion. But they believe it. I say once again, at this point, if you are still all in with Donald Trump and you think he's doing a great job as president, then you are a sick human being. There's something very, very wrong with you. This is not the country that I recognize anymore. This is not the country that I was raised, where we tackle women, children, outside of Home Depot, outside of courtrooms, people that are not identified. We don't know if they're ICE agents or not. Tackling people and deporting people, those outside of courtrooms that are seeking, literally seeking a better life for themselves and their families, migrants. This is not the country that I recognize, where our own troops are going after American civilians in cities across the nation. And for years, I had to hear for years, Democrats are pedophiles. The Hollywood elitists in California are a bunch of pedophiles. I had to hear this. We had to hear this for years. And let me be very clear when I say this. They are defending and continue to defend a pedophile right now. We know that Donald Trump is all over the Epstein files. We know that he's been hiding this, and the last thing he wants people to talk about is Epstein. Called his own supporters stupid, which I would agree many of them are. But he called them stupid for even bringing up the Epstein files. Well, guess what? This story is not going away. I'm not going to let it go away. You're not going to let it go away. And Megyn Kelly's comments, I don't know if you heard them, saying, well, it's not that he was attracted to 8-year-olds. You know, he was attracted to 14 or 15-year-olds. There's a big difference there. Let me tell you, both are against the law. Both are despicable. Both are disgusting. And Megyn Kelly is an absolute buffoon. If it's illegal, it's illegal. It doesn't matter whether you're 15 or 8. Both equally disgusting and disturbing. But Megyn Kelly is trying to defend pedophiles. Again, these are the same people who called Democrats pedophiles for years. For years. This story is not going away. And every single place Donald Trump goes to, every single media member should ask him about Epstein. The story cannot go away. It will not go away unless we allow it to go away. That's what Donald Trump wants. We cannot give Donald Trump what he wants. Whether that be 13 seconds with Stormy Daniels or just forgetting about the Epstein files because, well, Jeffrey Epstein is dead. I don't know. It's a Democrat hoax, which obviously it's not. We cannot let this story go away. And I'm not going to let it go away. And you shouldn't let it go away either. Yes, of course. Of course, there's a lot of important topics to discuss as well. Of course, this isn't the only big story that we're talking about today. Yes, it's a big one. It's not the biggest. Of course, the economy. Donald Trump murdering people in boats with no due process. Immigration. There's so many different topics to discuss. And before I take a break, there's a lot of people on social media. I shouldn't say a lot, but there are some people on social media that believe if you don't know everything and anything about Donald Trump's court cases, then you have no credibility and you can't call him a 34-count felon. Well, guess what? That's not true. I make the same point I made a few weeks ago with Tim Pool. You don't have to know all the intricacies and the ins and outs of a case to understand that Donald Trump was convicted. Now, you can disagree with it. And I know I'm opening up a can of worms here. Do I believe O.J. Simpson is a double murderer? Sure. Was he convicted in a court of law? No. Is it possible that these 34 felony counts were only misdemeanors and maybe part of the case was political? Maybe. But it doesn't change the fact that he is a convicted 34-count felon. Brian, tell me what is the underlying crime. Brian, tell me about the case. What do you know about it? Doesn't matter if I know nothing about it, which, by the way, I do know some, but it doesn't matter if I know nothing about it. It doesn't change the fact that he was still convicted in a court of law. Does the justice system get it wrong sometimes? Sure. But here are the facts, regardless of how much money you know about either case. Donald Trump was found liable for sexually abusing E. Jean Carroll. The judge characterized it as rape. You can disagree with the outcome. You could say it was politically motivated. Doesn't change the outcome. Donald Trump was convicted by a jury on 34 felony counts as well. So to talk about this and much more, we'll take a quick break. And when we come back, joining us in studio, she's the former chair of the Republican Party right here in the state of Nevada, now anti-Trumper, Amy Tarkanian will be joining us in studio. Take a quick break. We'll take your phone calls on the other side as well. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premier Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yousafzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and fees. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
You are way too smart, way too talented, way too good to be where you are. You are meant to be making way more money, feel way hotter in your body, and having way more fun. Hi, I'm Nicole Mitchell, and I'm a life coach. I help you get hotter and richer. If that is what you're looking for, you can find me at NicoleMitchell.com. My name, Nicole, is with a K, NICOLE, MITCHELL.com. You can reach out to me on my website or on Instagram, and I will be happy to be in touch and figure out what you're looking for and how I can support you in getting there.
Have you ever dreamed of having your own radio show or a podcast, but just didn't think it was possible? Well, dreams can come true. Radio U. Radio U is a 5-day course that'll teach you how to acquire your dream show. We'll teach you how to host, how to write commercial, how to interview, how to market, how to write a contract, and most important,
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Monday. Thank you so much for joining us. We got some great guests lined up this week. To start the show tomorrow, we got the one, the only Ron Filipkowski. I think Adam Mockler is going to be joining us this week. Wednesday, in-studio guest, very popular left-leaning podcaster, millions of followers. Ryan Shedd's going to be joining us in studio. He's actually in town for the F1 race, which I probably won't be anywhere near because I'm not a race fan. I know I hate to upset all of you MAGA supporters out there. Hey, I talk about healthcare a lot on this show, and the Medicare annual enrollment is now going through December 7th, and I'm so happy that I teamed up with the good people at Chapter for free and unbiased Medicare help. They save people on average around $1,100 a year, and if they think you're on the right plan, they're going to tell you that. It takes literally less than 20 minutes. It's completely free. So please give them a call. You see the number there on the bottom of the screen, 212-461-4078. You could also check out the URL on the bottom screen there, which is askchapter.org/limits, and give them a call. All right, so it's been a little while since we've had her here in studio. She is the former Republican chair of Nevada. That's right. But she was a very staunch Trump supporter. Now she is not one of those people, which I'm happy to say. My friend Amy Tarkanian is joining us in studio right now. Amy, it's good to see you. How are you?
Happy Monday. I am doing fantabulous.
Good to hear that. There's a lot going on in the world, as you know.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Did you, I know, to give people a little bit of background on you, it's been years now since you kind of turned on Donald Trump. Is that fair to say?
Okay, well, I guess a little bit, but no, not really. Because from the get-go, and this is what people don't understand, I've always but I've had my own thoughts, my own mind, my own list of questions when it comes to candidates and issues. And everyone thinks that I'm supposed to be this uber far to the right individual, which I never have been. I actually supported John Kasich, who was a moderate. Mm-hmm. I supported Carly Fiorina, who was a moderate. I can give you a laundry list of people. But at the end of Trump's first run is when he was our nominee and I was voted in to go and represent him on the national stage. So I was actually just being a really good Nevada Republican. So I participated, and that's actually when I first started my support of then candidate Trump. I actually didn't campaign for him.
What was the turning point for you?
The turning point for me, I would say really was, and I know that this is controversial, but it was January 6th. You can go back into my social media and you can see where I'm literally screaming in all caps over and over and over. Tell them to stop. Tell them to stop. You can call that day whatever adjective you'd like. But the insurrection, as most people call it, could have been stopped. And it wasn't. And I found that to be a disgrace.
Okay, so Amy, I don't understand how that couldn't have been the end all be all for so many other Republicans. I just don't understand it. I mean, they tried to overthrow a free and fair election. It was despicable. We all know what happened that day. I'm glad you did that, but like, I don't understand. I thought that would be the finishing point. I thought finally most of his support would go down the toilet after that day, and it didn't. In fact, I think his support got stronger after that day.
Sure, and unfortunately, but fortunately for him, he was going up against opposition that I don't think was very strong. So when you had, and you and I have talked about this before, when he first was running up against Hillary Clinton, to me, I thought, oh dear God, I could never vote for Hillary Clinton. I just really can't stomach her. And so he was lucky to have somebody, in my eyes, that bad of a candidate to run up against, to where it favored somebody like Donald Trump.
No, I get that. But
then up against Biden, and then Biden did his whole shenanigans, and everyone ran around circles for him to hide, he was falling apart health-wise. And then to put Kamala in so late, I mean, the Democrats really did themselves a disservice, which once again, it helped him. As bad of a candidate as he is, it helped him.
I do agree that the Democrats didn't do themselves any favors with Joe Biden not stepping down sooner.
No, it's terrible.
While I respect Joe Biden, the human being, I thought he made a horrible mistake, and I do agree with you there. But I can tell you this, and you can tell me whether you agree or not. If Kamala Harris had won the presidency, which clearly she didn't,
right?
But if she did, there wouldn't be these tariffs going on. I don't think we'd be headed towards a recession. I don't know what would happen in Ukraine, and I don't know what would happen in the Middle East. But what I do know is that National Guard wouldn't be called out attacking American civilians. We wouldn't have ICE agents not identifying themselves all over the country, tackling people, so many of whom are not violent criminals. I just don't see that happening if Kamala Harris was president.
But the problem is, Brian, is we're talking about not just the Trump administration or the Biden administration. This has gone back, I don't know how many administrations, where illegal immigration has just been out of control and it hasn't been revamped.
But we haven't done this in our lifetime.
No, we haven't. But I think it's because we've allowed the system to be broken for so long that now you have an administration who is hell bent on saying enough, no matter how forceful that they need to
Even
be.
if it means
people are really tired of it, and I hear you. Yes, I think it's unfortunate for. I saw a story. I think it was just a few days ago where a Native American woman was being detained because they were claiming she was from Mexico, and her family was distraught. They said, no, she's Native American. What's wrong with you? So yes, there are problems with what's going on right now. But I think, unfortunately, and I'm not making excuses, because the problem is out of control, and Biden's administration allowed it to just basically allowed this sore to fester even more so, and allowed so many people to come in illegally without any repercussions or very little repercussions, that now you have the complete 180 where it's, to hell or high water, we're going to come after you and you better get out before you can blink type scenario.
I think what's happening is more dangerous to this country than anything Joe Biden did with immigration. While in a perfect world, I would love people to come into this country the legal way.
Yeah.
I don't think that's one of the bigger issues
Well,
in this
that's
country.
why it needs to be revamped.
Well, of course.
I think,
Of course it needs to be revamped, and Democrats and Republicans have not been able to solve this issue. I agree with you. I just think what's happening right now is is ripping up parts of our Constitution and not giving people due process. And I think it's more dangerous than anything Joe Biden did in his administration.
Well,
I really
the
feel
other
that way.
problem I have too is I was listening this morning in North Carolina. They're having a raid situation in Charlottesville, and they're not allowing ICE to come in and work with them. Now, we're not talking about illegal immigrants that are on the outside of the prison system. We're talking about the ones that are already inside the prison system. They said there's roughly 1,400 inside their prison system alone, and ICE wants to take them and send them back to wherever they originally came from and start over.
Yeah.
But they're not cooperating. So I have a problem with that. I can see if you're somebody who came over, you've been here for decades, you had your kids, whatever, and you're an upstanding individual, haven't created any other problems, except for the one of crossing illegally from the get-go, leave them alone. Right? Let's just figure this out. Leave them alone.
I agree.
But the people who are currently in the jail system, that's I think a whole nother level that we need to combat.
Well, if you're a criminal, I think like 99% of society say if you're undocumented and you're a violent criminal, then you should be deported. I mean, I think everybody's on board with that, but that's but they're like 65-70% of those that are being deported are nonviolent criminals, and I don't know if I necessarily agree with that.
Right. I think just because you were somebody who did cross over illegally, yes, let's just put it out there. It is breaking the law. However, are you a violent criminal? No,
it's a misdemeanor.
You're yes, it's a misdemeanor. Yeah. And quite honestly, you're extremely desperate to do that.
Most of them are. I agree.
Extremely
And I want to
desperate.
remind people, like, it's a misdemeanor. And when I called Donald Trump a 34-count felon, a lot of people say, well, those were just misdemeanors and it was politically motivated. Oh, so you don't think people should be held to account for misdemeanors then? I mean, I don't understand the argument. But if you're just joining us, she's Amy Tarkanian, former Republican chairwoman here in the state of Nevada. Let's talk about Epstein real quick. There's a lot more things to talk about, but let's start there. Now you have Marjorie Taylor Greene and some other Republicans, even like Lauren Boebert and Nancy Mace, who I think are despicable human beings, that are coming out and they're saying, listen, we want the Epstein files to be released. And then Donald Trump has a closed door meeting with Nancy Mace and Lauren Boebert trying to strong arm them. He's now saying, well, I do want Republicans to vote yes. Well, we all know why, because they're opening up a new investigation and Pam Bondi's going to announce, because we have a new investigation, we can't release the files. So, I mean, I guess my question is, are MAGA Republicans this stupid? Do they not understand what Donald Trump is doing? He's been wanting to make sure that nobody talks about this. He's been trying so hard for months and months now, not wanting this to be released. Why? Because we know Donald Trump is all over the Epstein files. We know it.
And so while I was driving on my way here, I listened to the president actually address some of the press's questions. And one of them did ask him about Epstein, and he just quickly tried to pivot as best as he could to get out of that topic and blamed Democrats and said, Democrats, they were the ones who were friends. They are the ones who were the closest with him. Democrats. Hello. Wasn't he a Democrat back then?
But it's not even that.
No, but listen, he was a Democrat.
He used to be.
And yes.
Yeah, he used
to be.
And
I'm not saying that he participated in that horrific behavior.
I am.
Well,
I am.
Okay, so you're
What is he hiding? What is he hiding?
Okay, well, hold on, because my daughter and I were having this discussion yesterday because she was texting me, asking me questions about this, and she's not a fan. So by no means were we having like this, oh, he's innocent until proven guilty, you know, kind of conversation. Even though that's still the case, you can't just assume somebody, did horrific things to minors and then that makes him automatically guilty. However, I remind my kids all the time, be careful who you associate with. Now, just because you maybe take a photo with somebody, that doesn't make you guilty. But we now know over and 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 over, he hung out with a guy. He hung out with Ghislaine. He was traveling with them.
Let me ask you a question.
If he knew what was going on and did nothing and just told them, hey, can you stop doing this here at Mar-a-Lago, quit your recruiting or whatever it is he was telling them, that is still reprehensible.
Let me ask you a question. I agree. What is any logical reason that you could give me why Donald Trump is you mentioned Maxwell, sending her to a Club Med, allowing her to have a pet, preferential treatment. Nobody's allowed to talk to her.
Pet?
Yeah, they allowed her to have a dog. She's allowed to go to the gym at any hour with security. She can play tennis. She's allowed visitors. She's allowed to use a laptop with visitors and snacks. Yep, we learned this last week. Why do you think? Can you give me one? And I'm not saying you're defending Trump, but I'm just asking you, can you give me, because I can't think of one logical explanation that would make sense other than they're protecting Trump because he's all over the Epstein files and Maxwell knows that he was with underage girls. Give me one reason why the Trump administration would be doing this other than that reason.
That actually sounds like also like to protect her.
Well,
because you know that there are plenty of sick people out there that are going to target certain individuals that you know in their minds may hurt their chosen one, you know, whichever chosen one it may be. I could see crazy people maybe wanting to go after her to silence her, even outside of jail.
So if they were just trying to protect her, then why did they send her to a Club Med? If they were just trying
That's what I'm saying. It's
Right.
just to make her comfortable, but it's to keep her safe maybe from outside crazies.
I don't think it's to keep her safe because you could keep somebody safe by putting them in solitary confinement. By the way, they did that for George Santos.
No, well,
they did that
that's
with
a
George
different
Santos.
story.
So if you're concerned that, here's why I think
I'm just saying they want to take care of her.
But why do they want to take care of her? Why? Why is the Trump administration
Because
doing this?
she probably knows way too much.
I don't think it's probably. I think it's 100%. That's why. And by the way, the Trump administration did this. Make no mistake about it. You don't try to protect somebody to give them a dog and giving them food sent to their cell.
Right.
They're doing this for one reason and one reason only. And anybody who disagrees with me, I'd love to hear from them why they disagree with me. They're doing this because they are not protecting her. They're protecting Trump. And they want to make her happy so she doesn't, you know, bark like the dog, like Jeffrey Epstein said in the emails that I'm sure you saw.
Right.
That's why they're doing this. It's so obvious to me. And I heard Republicans, not you, but Republicans in general, calling Democrats pedophiles and rapists and the Hollywood elitists. Make no mistake about it. Republicans, MAGA Republicans, they're protecting the pedophile in chief right now, in my opinion.
They're in denial. They're either in denial or they're delusional. And I'm not calling President Trump a pedophile.
Well,
I'm not. I'm just saying I don't like the way that this is looking at all.
Well, let me ask you
and I'm
this.
not going to say that he is 1,000% until he's actually proven guilty. But I do believe he's guilty by association to enough to where this stinks to high heaven.
This is the guy who bragged about how he and Epstein, you know, young girls, and this is the guy who went to parties with Epstein. He's the guy who was on the Epstein flight log 7 times. Epstein, in those emails we saw, he spent time, according to Epstein, 2 hours at his home with an alleged victim. I wonder what they were doing there. I'm sure they were just chatting and having coffee. I am very comfortable in saying I believe there was sex trafficking going on at Mar-a-Lago. We know that there was a teenage girl that Epstein took, and Donald Trump, that's what ended their relationship because Donald Trump was angry about that.
No.
I don't know. I just think it's beyond the shadow of a doubt to me. Now, listen, maybe Bill Clinton's in there as well. I wouldn't vote for Bill Clinton right now if it was Clinton versus Trump.
And that seems to be the go-to scapegoat, right? You know, that's where you have those who are in denial.
They bring up Clinton, you mean?
Constantly bring up Clinton.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, he got caught. It was disgusting, but that's not the same scenario. And yes, Bill Clinton was on those lists. And, you know, I guarantee you he's probably right on up there with Donald Trump.
Fundamental difference of many between Republicans and Democrats right now. Not all, but many. Democrats don't seem to care right now whether Bill Clinton was in there. They're very clear. In Washington, D.C., every Democrat is pretty much echoing the same thing, which is, we don't care if there's Democrats in there. We want everybody to be exposed. If it's Bill Clinton or anybody, we want people to held to account. Republicans, well, why didn't the Democrats release this 4 years ago? It's a fundamental difference between Republicans and Democrats right now. And by the way, there's a perfectly logical explanation as to why it wasn't released under Joe Biden, because they were under seal during the Maxwell trial. He wasn't allowed to release them. But Republicans, MAGA Republicans, think their constituents are so stupid, and maybe some of them are, that they don't understand that. And that's what drives me nuts. It drives me crazy. If Trump is telling Republicans today you should vote yes, why can't you release it yourself? Right now, at the snap of a finger, Donald Trump could release these files.
Maybe you know this answer. Was that one representative out of Arizona, has she been sworn in yet? The one that's okay.
Yes.
So when did that happen?
Exactly. And there's going to be a vote in the next week. Maybe in the last 40 days, Donald Trump was trying to do everything he can to get Kash Patel's FBI to retract his name. God knows how many times they're in there. What do you make of Marjorie Taylor Greene? We were just talking about Marjorie off the air, and I was just saying I have no empathy for her. She's playing the victim card now.
Oh, she's a flamethrower. And unfortunately, it took her having a taste of the backlash for her to finally, I guess, have some common sense, or maybe she's had common sense the entire time and she just chose to be toxic, thinking that was going to garner her more attention and more of the MAGA base. And I mean, it did work for her constituency because she was reelected. But, you know, I think it's better late than never to apologize. I did catch her apology on one of the major networks. One of the hosts actually called her out and said, why are you calling for civility now? You know, you were the one who basically was throwing arrows from the get-go, and you were relentless. And she apologized. I don't know if I believe
accept
it.
that. I don't accept that apology.
But you know, it's okay. I'll just say better late than never. I've actually enjoyed listening to her because she does make more sense to me now that she's had a taste of her own medicine. And it's a hard lesson learned, and I hope that she has learned from it. And you know, you've watched me go through the mud, dealing with if you step out of line or if you dare to ask a question from the MAGA supporters, the MAGA base. And I'm not just talking about Republicans. I'm talking the diehard MAGAs. You know, and it's unfortunate because that's not what our country should be based on, out of fear of retribution or retaliation. It should really, I mean, be about civil discourse, discussion, transparency, learning from one another. And she's to blame for the loss of some of that in this administration.
While I focus on national politics, Amy, since you were the former Republican chair, the guy who's in the seat that you once were in, Mike McDonald, some people might know who he is that listen to the show. I would imagine most don't. He is the chair of the Nevada Republican Party, who was one of multiple people that was charged with trying to, you know, put a scheme in with fake electors.
There were
six fake elector scheme. It was going to be tried here in Clark County. They sent it to Carson City. Now it's being sent back to Clark County.
And not only is it being sent back, but it was a unanimous vote by the Nevada Supreme Court to
Now,
be sent back.
Unfortunately, if they're convicted, Donald Trump's going to pardon them.
No. So he tried to put out a PR pardon, because he can't pardon at the state level.
Oh, that's right. It's at the state.
He can only do a federal level.
Yep.
And so he basically put that out before the Nevada Supreme Court took their vote, and thought that it was going to put some pressure and have a PR
What do you make
stunt.
of that, though? This is the guy who is in your seat now. This is the position that you had.
Mm-hmm.
I personally believe beyond the shadow of a doubt they have a good case. I've had conversations with our attorney general, who I think is a wonderful man, who I think one day would be a great governor. This was your position.
Yeah.
And he allegedly puts together this fake electorate scheme. I just find it so repulsive. And this is the guy who is still the face of the Republican Party in the state of Nevada.
Yeah.
Forget about even Donald Trump for a minute. The guy who is running the Republican Party that is in your position right now most likely put together a fake electorate scheme and broke the law. How do Republicans allow this guy to still be in that seat?
Because they, from what has been shared with me by those who still think that these six have done no wrong, you know, they're really good manipulators, really good at twisting things to make it look like and sound like, you know, they have the president and his staff on speed dial. And maybe they do.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Wouldn't surprise me,
Yeah.
quite honest, because for these six individuals who I've known for a very long time, I'm actually surprised at some of these people that followed the chairman's suit by doing this. That tells me they either had heavy amounts of pressure combined with maybe a little bit of brainwashing, because a couple of these individuals, while I was chair, they were still serving in these positions. And I mean, I thought that they had ethics, values, morals, and it seems to have all gone out the window, all in order just to do whatever it takes, whatever this president wants, he gets. And, and we're going to do it at any cost. And I'm going to throw myself on the railroad tracks if this man
I don't know
asks
why
me to.
they're willing to sell their soul. And by the way, it's not just politicians or a guy like Mike McDonald here. It's people in DC that continue.
They're terrified to speak up.
They sold their soul to Orange Man. And
let me just tell you, and I'm not going to give away any specifics, but there was at one point when I was chair and we did not have our official nominee yet, and I was pulled aside by the powers that be to support an individual over the others. And I said, well, we haven't had the election yet. And how can you tell me when I'm supposed to be, fair for all of the primary candidates? No, you're going to support this one, right? Right? Like, I'm sorry, you're telling me?
Almost criminal.
Yeah. No.
Help me understand this. What do Republicans stand for today? Now, you know me. I don't have a lot in common with Republicans. And even though I'm a registered independent, I certainly side with Democrats a lot more than Republicans today, even though I am for capital punishment, even though I am for border security, and even though I did vote for 8 Republicans in the last midterm election. I don't understand today what Republicans stand for. Now, I'm not necessarily talking about you, but I don't understand what Republicans stand for today. This big and beautiful bill, they're taking away health care from people. Food
people
stamps.
are waking up slowly to that. They are mad.
What he says, we don't have enough talented people in this country, so let's bring in 600,000 people from China. He's bailing out other countries, economies. We're ripping up parts of our Constitution and murdering people in boats with no due process. What the hell do Republicans stand for today? The biggest tax breaks for the top 1%. I guess they stand for that because, Amy, $100 billion in tax breaks this year for the top 1% and taking away food stamps from people.
Yeah.
I mean, what do Republicans stand for that Jesus would say is a good thing? I don't know. I mean, help me. I don't know. I know there's still some good Republicans out there. I don't know how many of them there are. I don't know what Republicans stand for. I can give you an idea of what Democrats stand for.
Sure.
I have no idea. Help me understand.
Yeah, well, help me. So I caught another conversation with Speaker Mike Johnson. I think it was yesterday, and it was on Fox actually, and it's with Shannon Bream, and she flat out asked him, about healthcare, and said, well, what are Republicans coming up with? What are your ideas? What are your plans? Please share them. And he couldn't share them. He just basically said, oh, we have them and it's great and it'll be wonderful. And, he
is just the worst.
But Marjorie Taylor Greene, of all people, she's the one who's been screaming the loudest saying, where is our plan? We've been screaming about the Affordable Care Act not being affordable for everyone and it being, a problem for so many folks, but yet it's been around since Obama and we still haven't come up with anything. Right. We just want to complain about it. So, I'm not exactly sure. I know both sides do this with certain issues. They like to have something to complain about and blame the other side.
But at least Barack Obama came up with Obamacare. You can say what you want about it, but you're right. They have no solutions. And
there's not a solution. And all they want to say is, what is it? Health savings accounts. Okay, well, yeah, it sounds great. But how are you going to implement it? Give us the meat and potatoes. Don't just throw us some nonsense. But
do you really think this is a both sides thing though? Because
I'm not saying necessarily on healthcare. I'm just saying I know that they pick and choose certain policy issues that they know at that moment pull at the heartstrings of their constituency, and then they use it to lob at one another.
I would agree with you on some topics, like for example, immigration.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a both sides issue in that we haven't been able to solve the issue, and I think there's responsibility to go both ways.
And I don't know if they really truly want to solve it. To be honest.
But that's a both sides issue. Okay?
Yeah,
I'll tell you what I don't think is a both sides issue: gun control. Democrats have been trying to.
When Harry Reid was alive, he had an A from the NRA.
Well, which I understand, but I'm just saying I can only speak to what's going on now.
Yeah.
And Republicans have literally, just like healthcare, have literally no solutions to the gun control issues, and this is what drives me nuts.
Well, they do, but
I haven't heard any. other than more guns make us safer. I haven't heard any real.
Well, I
solutions.
think the problem with that one is, I think most Democrats, well, no, I shouldn't say most. I would say some Democrats really just want them off the streets, and that's not going to happen.
Well, I don't think any Democrat wants all guns off the streets.
We want responsible gun owners.
Yeah, I couldn't name you one Democrat that I'm aware of, if you could tell me, that says they want all guns gone. They want an assault weapons ban. They certainly want it, make it more difficult for mentally ill people to get their hands on guns.
Yeah.
But there's plenty of Democrats like Kamala Harris and others that own guns, that are pro Second Amendment.
Yeah.
I think, like me, you can be pro Second Amendment, but just put some tougher laws on the books, 18 to 21, maybe, perhaps a 2-hour mandatory class on how to shoot a
There
gun.
should be classes.
Yeah,
I think so too.
I think there are things. Would it end all the gun violence? No, but there are things that Democrats have come up with that I think would save lives. And from Republicans, I literally hear nothing. They show up after a school shooting with the AR-15 pins on the halls of Congress. So I don't think the gun control issue is I just think Republicans don't want to do anything about it because they want their A+ rating from the NRA.
I don't know about that, but I will tell you, living in a different part of the nation certainly has been an eye-opener on how they approach it. You know, here in Nevada, once again, I mentioned Harry Reid. So I would say for a long time there, you had bipartisan pro Second Amendment support. That wasn't really that controversial.
It's gotten worse
either
over the
side.
years.
It's gotten worse. Yeah,
It's gotten worse, and I just feel like the NRA has bought a bunch of MAGA
well, the
Republicans.
NRA is a problem in itself. That's a whole other show.
I've never heard a Democrat campaigning in their ad that's bragging about their rating from the NRA. Every Republican has those types of ads, and I think they care more about their rating from the NRA than actually they care more about children being indoctrinated, and the teachers are making our children gay. But yet they don't.
Because that's going to tug at the heartstrings of a certain voting base. So I get why they do that. I'm not saying
Stupid
it's right.
people, the bigots.
I'm just saying it's what they do.
Do people really believe that?
Yes.
That our teachers are making our kids transgender and gay?
Yes, and you know
people
why?
be that
Because
stupid?
they see videos that are being produced by some teachers that will have the multicolored hair, every flag possible in the back, except for the American flag, and it drives them crazy.
But even if that is true, a child doesn't turn gay because a teacher says it's okay to be gay.
No, but
it's
I guess
absurd.
No, it is absurd.
Yeah.
But I guess they don't like it being acceptable, or
well, then you're a bigot.
Well,
if you don't think being
there have
gay
been
is
some stories where they say like a child is questioning their gender, and so at school they're praised, but at home they're it's the other way around, where the parents are trying to get a grasp on them, mental health wise, and then they go to school and it's all unraveled.
Listen, in school, teachers could tell their students don't ever use the N-word, but then when they go
And it
home,
happens.
white parents could be using the N-word. So to me, I don't really. What I care about is teachers telling their students.
And I've witnessed that.
By the
too,
way, I don't care
unfortunately.
what your age is. It's okay to be gay.
Sure.
It's okay to be trans. And then if the student asks, what does that mean?
Yeah.
The rest you're going to have to talk to your parents about. To me, that's not indoctrinating kids.
No, that is responsible.
But people have a problem with that. Not you, but people. There are I said that on the Tim Pool show a few weeks ago in front of a live studio audience, and they were booing me.
Wow.
They were booing me. Well, listen, they're morons, okay? But here's the point, the big point I was trying to make, going back to the gun control issue. If MAGA Republicans had 10% of the same energy towards gun violence as they do towards children getting indoctrinated by our kids, which, by the way, I don't think is happening at any large scale level, then lives would be saved.
Yeah.
They can't name me one student that died because a teacher said it's okay to be gay or it's okay to be transgender. You can't.
Well,
same thing with drag queen reading. It's a joke.
Yeah.
And they try to come up with these, culture war issues when we should be talking about healthcare. We should be talking about gun control.
Yeah.
The second leading cause of death most years with children on the age of 12 is gun violence.
So a few things. So not to say that, because your parents do their very best, hopefully, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everyone is really good at some things and then not so well at others, but you try as a parent. And I would say, like with my kids, I try to instill, you need to be able to stand on your 2 feet. It's good to ask as many questions as possible. And let's be open about, our bodily functions. Let's be open about, maybe feelings that you may be having. We are very open in our house. And so when it's time to send them to school. I hope that I've given them enough information to make them feel comfortable and confident about who they are at this moment, because life is hard, right? So it doesn't matter if you're 10, you're 20, you're 30, you're 40, you're 50, life comes at you fast.
I just don't understand, though, Amy, the idea that if a teacher says even be gay, which I think would be inappropriate, but it's okay to be gay, to me is not inappropriate, that somehow a teenager will turn gay.
No, they won't. I have a really, really good friend who I do TV commentary with. We get paired up all the time.
Mm-hmm.
He's gay.
Yeah.
And he now oversees his 2 half brothers because their father passed away.
Yeah.
And he's the greatest dad / brother on the planet. And neither one of his kids are gay.
Yeah.
And he even goes to drag queen shows, and he ran for mayor and came in, second place. Like, this guy is sharp. He was in the military, just the kindest human being. But because he's gay and has friends that are drag queens, his 2 boys, nothing to do with it.
It just gets me so frustrated. And, having these debates with people, many of whom don't even have kids, and they want to talk about how the teachers are indoctrinating our kids and they're turning them gay and transgender. It's just, anyway, what do you say we open up the phone lines and you get the wrath of my PTL listeners?
No, there'll be no wrath. You guys will all be so nice.
I'm sure many of them
will.
You're
shaking your head. No, please be nice.
I'm sure they'll be nice. We want people to be respectful.
Oh, real quickly, though,
Yes.
Speaking of Epstein, so I reposted yesterday on X from the World Without Exploitation organization, and they produced a video with 8 Epstein survivors actually calling on Congress to release the files. It's very powerful.
Anybody who votes no on this, I wish you nothing but the worst.
Yeah.
I really don't have anything else to say. Anybody who calls themselves a religious person, anybody who calls themselves a human being, with a moral compass, if you vote no on releasing these files, which I would imagine many Republicans will, you are despicable. Despicable. All right, let's open up the line. 702-221-7283, the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. She is the former Republican chair in the great state of Nevada, Amy Tarkanian, nice enough to be joining us in studio. That number again is 702-221-SAVE. 702-221-7283. Who are we going to first here? Let's go to Casey. Casey is first up on PTL. Hi, Casey. You're on with Amy. Go right ahead.
Hi, Amy. Welcome aboard the SS Ryan.
Listen. Thank you, Captain.
So, Brian, remember your friend Casey said this first. And I'm going to tell you exactly, Amy, and I'm going to tell you too. You're the first to hear it. Trump is saying yes to release the files. And what's he going to do? When it gets to the Senate, he's going to find something in the files, and now it's under investigation. So he doesn't have to veto it, but some under investigation, he will have to release the files. Mark my words, he is going to do it.
I mean, I certainly don't. Yeah, Casey, I certainly don't doubt that. I don't know if you agree with that, Amy, but yeah.
Well, when Fox News is even saying that, he's done a 180 on this, people's wheels are turning. So I don't think that that he would actually be in favor of this if he didn't have a plan.
No, there's no doubt. I think he certainly does have a plan, but he does not want people talking about this. All right, let's go to Kava. Kava is next up on PTL. Hi, Kava. What's going on?
Hi, Brian. How are you doing today?
Good. What's on your mind?
So I wanted to address something Amy had said when she was saying that, that people shouldn't be coming here illegally. I understand, but there's a difference between that and, complaining that, they're coming here illegally. Well, I mean, whose fault is that? I mean, America caused it to happen to begin with. So, I mean, whose fault is it really? Let's just be really brutally honest about it.
What do you mean? I mean, we have rules, we have laws in place on how to come over here. At this point, it's not just a free for all anymore like it was once in the beginning. I mean that's just the way it is. I'm not saying I agree with the way it's set up. In fact, I don't agree with the way it's set up. I think it needs to be restructured.
I understand
that's the way it is
America
right now.
I understand, but America did it to itself. America is the one that destabilized Latin America and did coups and stuff and destabilized those regions. I mean, America has done this to itself.
No, Kava, I understand. I understand what you're saying, Kava. In we can talk about this for hours, but I'll minimize it by saying this: there are plenty of good people in this country. I think Amy would agree with me that happen to not have the right paperwork.
Yeah.
That pay their taxes, that have families here, that are decent people. There needs to be some sort of pathway to citizenship to them. Now, I'm going to say something that Amy may not agree with me on, but I've always said every single time Donald Trump says "Make America Great Again," I personally believe it really means "Make America White Again." I'll give South Africa as a perfect example of that. He's welcomed dozens of these South Africans that are 100% white that are seeking asylum. Okay, fine, no problem. Has he ever done that with brown
is
people?
that because of the Christians that are being slaughtered?
Yes, that was a part of it, no question. But my question to you would be,
I don't think it's because they're white.
Well,
but isn't there also a slaughter of actual white people?
So you could make the argument that that is true, but this is the point that I'm trying to make. These are 100% people who are white. Why has he not made any similar exceptions to people that are brown that are seeking asylum, that are in fear for their life? There are plenty of migrants seeking asylum that come into this country that come from areas where their families are in danger and in jeopardy of losing their lives.
I think that is happening now. But the problem is what the area of the world that you just mentioned, this is actually like a genocide that's happening.
So I get that,
right?
But if that, I understand, but why wouldn't he give the same type of, grants, to those that are brown? I can't name you one instance where.
Well, is there a genocide happening somewhere where the majority of people are not white?
You could make the argument that plenty of people that are brown that are seeking asylum from evil, murderous dictator regimes or gangs or people. My point is, why isn't he welcoming brown people with open arms? He doesn't do that, and I think that, in my personal opinion, I don't think that. He feels the same way towards brown migrants than he does from white migrants. That's all.
No, you and I disagree on that.
Well, that's just my personal opinion based on the way they're treating brown people throughout the country. But let's get back to the calls. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. Let's now go to Brett. Brett is next up on PTL. What's up, Brett? Hi, Brett.
Hey, what's happening? Brian?
Yes, go right ahead.
Hey, how are you? Yeah, my question's for Amy. What's your feeling about the situation with the boats? They're supposedly drug smugglers from the U.S. Do you have any opinion on whether you think that that's valid?
Well, I listened to the president this morning address that, and you had in the room Secretary of State Rubio and then also Kristi Noem. And so they were basically saying that they've had confirmation that these drug smugglers were in fact on these boats. And then when you heard the conversation post, when they went back to the newsroom, the people with the military background were actually stating what they thought was happening. And it was more of a power play to basically say, hey, we're not messing around.
But should we be on the honor system?
Under control.
Should we be just on the honor system, Amy? Because they haven't shown any actual real evidence. In fact, one person that was on one of those boats.
Well, supposedly they also know that where these facilities are, where the drugs are being made.
Right, but they haven't put any information out available to the public of any evidence of these people that have died on these boats.
Well, what would you want them to put out?
Actual evidence, names,
evidence of there being drug smuggling.
Yeah, I mean, one of the guys. Here's my problem.
Would you believe it though? Even if they did put out,
I think it'd be better.
Look, here's a list.
I think it'd be better than what they're doing now. It's hard for me to believe anything Caroline Levitt says. One person that was not killed on one of these boats was sent back to their country, and that country investigated this individual and said that there was no evidence of wrongdoing. I want evidence. I don't want.
Do you believe that country?
Well, no more than I believe Donald Trump saying that all these people are drug smugglers.
Hey, listen, I'm not saying what they're doing is right because, I get it. Like the drug war is a war, to some extent. And that's what the president keeps saying. So that's why he wants to designate a lot of these organizations.
Okay, but were all the drugs destroyed? Did they?
No.
Okay.
No,
So,
but it's to send a message.
okay, but if
I'm not saying it's the right way, though.
Can
If
I
he's
ask
going to
you?
call it a war, then maybe he needs
Can
to
I-
go to Congress and ask for permission.
Can I
And
ask
that's
you-
where the disagreement is.
if there are
with
drugs
people.
on these boats, I understand these explosions would probably disintegrate a lot of the
I'm
drugs.
not. I don't think drugs are on these boats necessarily. I think it's the drug lords themselves that they're stopping.
Then why are they not releasing names and
I
providing
don't know. It's a
evidence?
good question.
I think it's against everything that our Constitution says, that they don't need any evidence. They don't need to say anything to the American people about what they're doing. They could execute people on water and it's okay. I mean, I don't
To the
understand.
point that-
Yeah.
One of our biggest allies is refusing to give us any kind of intel for this very reason. And I have like a quick point, and then I'll let you guys talk. But I have a neighbor that's a yacht captain, and he was explaining to me that the size and scale of the ships that they are destroying, that it's absolutely a death. It's impossible for the size of these boats to go from Venezuela to Miami. So there's a
What do you
question
mean?
of that.
Like they're too big? They're too small? What?
They're small.
Oh.
They're tiny.
I don't
They're
want.
tiny.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I can't speak to that. But what I will say is that they're saying it's okay basically to murder people in the water with no due process. Thank you for the call. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Jason. Jason is next up on PTL. Hi, Jason.
Yeah, what's up?
Hey.
What's going on? You
Hey.
ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so first of all, if you just give me a couple of seconds to allow me to pontificate, and then you can, and then I'll handle the rebuttal. Number one, there is no white genocide in Africa. If any genocide is in Kenya and they're killing Christians, and none of them are white. That's number one.
Okay.
So when Trump let in the white South Africans, all he did was destroy the farmers within America, because he gave $40 billion to Argentina, and guess what? China's not buying any soybeans from America. They're buying from Argentina. That's number one. Number two, the most important part is that we had an ally in England for decades, and now England turns to America and says, what you're doing is illegal, and we don't want no part of it. The whole point is this: fentanyl does not come from Venezuela. It comes from Mexico and China. I digress.
Amy, do you want to any retort to that, or?
No. Well, I mean, you and I were actually discussing. I wasn't sure which part of the world there was a genocide. I've just heard that there is one somewhere. He said it was Kenya. He's probably right.
Right. And my only argument, and I think Jason would agree with me, is when has Donald Trump welcomed dozens of brown people into this country with open arms that are undocumented? I mean, it just doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen.
Brian, we have discussed this over and over again. The man is a racist. His father was a KKK member. His his maid put the Mein Kampf on his table when he was a child. That was probably his Bible, because he doesn't know the Bible. So I digress again.
I agree, Jason. I totally agree. By the way, Pete Hegseth has a tattoo on him that says 100% white. He does 100% white. That's a very normal tattoo to have. Let's go to line one, Democrat MAGA joining us on the show. Hello, Democrat MAGA.
Hello, Brian. Number one caller, 7 years running. So anyway, two things. One, when I was putting my master class on Friday, when you're wrong and you don't know the answer, don't just pod me down and
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. Can you be on topic, please?
Yes. So anyway, that was when you said DUIs are always felonies. The majority of them in Nevada are misdemeanors. The majority. So you're wrong.
First of all, there are DUIs in this country that are labeled felonies. We were talking about, I think, immigrants and the fact that people that cross the border illegally are not felons. It is a misdemeanor. So if you'd like to talk about something on topic, if you'd like to talk about something on topic today, that'd be great.
Yes. So you were completely wrong. But on topic,
okay.
What do you think about the fact that Brian always says everyone's getting deported with no due process?
I didn't say, hold on. Stop the call. Once again, dumbass says something that I never said. I never said everybody that is being deported is not getting due process. So as I pod you, the reason why I pod you down, sir, is because You don't know what you're talking about, and you claim things that I say that I never said. There are people in this country that are not getting due process. I didn't say everybody that's being deported isn't getting due process. So let's start this over again, since this guy wants to be factual and he can't spell the word. Would you like to retract what you just said and then ask Amy the question all over again?
Okay, so Amy, do you believe?
No. You don't get off that easy. Why don't you admit you were wrong? And I never said everybody's not getting due process, dummy.
Okay.
I never said that.
You tell me you were wrong about the DUI that I.
Are you going to admit right now that you were wrong? Are you going to admit right now? Are you going to admit right now and say, yes, Brian, you're right, I was wrong. You never said everybody's not getting due process. Are you willing to admit that on this show?
You worded to say that the majority nobody gets due process.
Are you willing to say that you were, excuse me, boy, this guy is just such an idiot. Are you willing to admit that, I'll ask you again for the fourth time, okay? Are you willing to admit that you were just wrong and you misquoted me? And then we could actually move the conversation on. Or is your ego going to be hurt just like just like the guy who puts on 8 layers of orange makeup every day? Are you going to admit that you were wrong? Say, okay, you're right, Brian, you never said that. This is now the 5th time I'm asking it.
Okay, so maybe not every single one.
Not maybe. You were wrong. Now go ahead with your stupid question.
So do you agree that this due processing that Brian just is horrified by it just can't be. You can't get due process for 8 million people the next day. The reason you have to leave the country is because you committed a crime. So for instance, you're not put in jail. So let me give you an example. Go back to the DUI. If I'm driving a car, I have a DUI, they put me in jail. I don't get due process right now.
Not true.
But they don't put me back in the car and say, continue driving.
This guy wants to make.
Come here illegally.
Okay, Amy, I want you to answer. Okay, stop talking, dummy. Okay, I want Amy to answer the question. But before I do, this guy is comparing an undocumented immigrant to a DUI, which is, by the way, completely idiotic. I wouldn't expect any crimes. I wouldn't expect any.
What crimes should we enforce?
They're both crimes. So let's talk about a murderer compared to someone who comes to the country illegally with a misdemeanor. Dummy, be quiet. Be quiet.
Well,
you're an idiot. Be quiet.
What if your DUI actually did kill somebody?
Yeah, exactly. But he doesn't understand that.
Well, what if an immigrant just killed somebody? Same thing.
God, this guy is so stupid. It's unbelievable. All right. So first of all, let's be very clear on this. The overwhelming majority of the people in this country are not violent criminals that are undocumented. That is number one. It is a misdemeanor.
Correct.
Number two. Okay. Number three, if you want accountability for someone who commits a misdemeanor, then why don't you want accountability for someone who's in the Epstein files, who's a 34-count felon and adjudicated sexual abuser? If you want accountability for a grandmother in this country that probably has lived here for decades and decades, that pays her taxes. And by the way, in the Constitution, it says any person, which we've talked about before, Amy, it says any person deserves the right to due process, not any citizen. Now, I'll be honest with you, sir. I hope you don't get due process, and I hope you go to jail for not committing a crime, and then we'll see how it feels when you're separated from your families.
Not committing a crime. They committed a crime. It's up.
So if somebody commits where in the Constitution does it says if you commit a misdemeanor that we're going to deport you to another country, not the country of your origin, we're going to put you in an El Salvador prison and treat you like a violent criminal?
Less than 0.5%.
Oh, okay. So it's totally. So let's get this right. So okay. So his excuse is it's not a lot of people, so it's okay. Sir, you are not. Amy, go ahead. This guy is such a clown. Go ahead, Amy. Say what you want to say to him, but this guy is you're such a clown. You're not even worth my time.
Name me another
Go
country
ahead,
that
Amy.
will allow that.
Name me what college you went to, you uneducated, ill-informed MAGA idiot. Go ahead, Amy.
Well, I think that you already understand the way that due process works, Brian. So I don't really think this is an argument worth continuing. Do you use...
That's her nice way of calling you a fool, by the way, sir.
Do you use the words all and everyone?
Right.
Yes, but not in that context.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question, sir. No. It's my show. You don't call the shots. So I'm going to ask you a question, sir. Do you have any kids?
I do not.
You do not. Okay. Shocker. I'm surprised a woman won't have sex with you. But anyway, let's get to the important issue.
Oh my goodness, Brian.
I
know. I'm so inappropriate making a joke.
You need to move on.
I'm so inappropriate. See how upset he gets when I make a joke about him?
All wound up.
But yet, no, you don't ask any questions. It's my show, not yours.
Get
out of here. You know what? Amy's right. Get this idiot off my show. What I was going to ask him was, he's okay with since it's not a lot of people, he's
Yeah.
okay with some people not getting due process, sent to El Salvador prisons on misdemeanors. But since it wasn't a lot of people by his category of definition of crime, he doesn't care. So I was going to ask him if he had any kids. And I was going to say, what if somebody, God forbid, committed a heinous sexual act on one of your kids?
Yeah.
And then the defense attorney in court said, well, this doesn't happen a lot in society in this way, so let's just let this person go. You'd call me an idiot, rightfully said. So his defense of these people that are not getting due process, many of whom being sent to prisons outside their origin of where they were born,
Yeah.
it's horrible. I think most people would say it's terrible.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, and they're separated from the family. Most compassionate people would have that answer, but this fool, oh, well, it's not a lot of people. It's a very small percentage.
One is enough.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I know we disagree on abortion a little bit, but I think we also agree in that extreme circumstances like rape or incest, the woman should have the right to decide what to do, right? Right?
Sure. I mean, if it were one of my daughters, I would have, a very honest conversation, but I also know from my friends who've made that really tough choice, what happens to them emotionally and mentally forever. And so, you have to be able to hold their hand, not just while they're making that decision, but also continue to hold their hand after, because that's not just an easy decision to make, whether if you are pro or anti.
I agree. And should we be shocked that guy would probably say, well, it's a small percentage of people, so who cares?
Yeah.
That's really what he was saying. That's the argument to it. And it drives me nuts with these people. Anyway, get back to the calls. 702-221-7283. Who are we going to next here? Let's go to Andy. Hi, Andy. You're on with Amy Tarkanian, the former Nevada Republican chairwoman. What's on your mind? Yes, Andy, go right ahead.
Hey, Amy.
Yes.
Do you watch Fox News?
I have cut back a lot on watching news, but I do like to watch a little bit of everything. When I do watch it, I will watch MSNBC, CNN, News Nation, Fox. I also like to watch Sky News and GB News and the BBC.
All right, 'cause it sounds like you're watching a lot of Fox News.
I knew that was
no. Well, I mean,
she does. Hold on a minute, but wait, Brian, I got a question for you. You're dating a MAGA girl?
What?
So, who said I'm dating a MAGA girl? Who said
Didn't you say that?
So define
Tim Pool. I
didn't define it as a MAGA girl. No, that's not how it was defined.
Well, she's a Trump supporter, right?
This is news to me. Who is this, Brian?
What do you guys do for fun? Do you throw croutons in her mouth when she falls asleep with her eyes open?
Okay. Well, I'm glad to answer your question. If you'd like me to answer your question, first of all, I didn't define it as a MAGA girl, and I'll speak in very general terms. Yes, I have dated women, and I will continue to do so. Women that understand that Donald Trump is a horrible human being, a terrible
Trump supporter.
Well, it depends what you mean by supporter. There are people that I know
Did she vote for him?
I'm trying to answer your question. There are people that have voted for Donald Trump that are very unhappy with what he has done. They're they understand that they've made a mistake, and they might like a few of his policies, and they might not like some policies on the left. But I can have, whether there be friendships or dating, with people that understand that Donald Trump is a terrific human being. Now, the people I will not have relationships with, whether it be a dating or friendship or anything, are people that think Donald Trump is the next Messiah. They buy his Bibles, the cultists. I could not have a friendship, let alone a relationship with somebody like that. But I am able to maintain friendships with people that at least understand right now that even though they voted for Trump, that it was probably a mistake. He's a horrible guy, and they don't like what he's doing to this country. Does that make sense?
Okay, well,
clear that up.
No, it doesn't. Are you dating a girl who voted for Trump?
Who cares? Is she a good person?
Because her brain.
Wait, hold on.
That's sad. So hold on a second. So let me just say, I think this is a big problem in our nation.
Listen.
No,
I think, sir, you're the one being
dumb as hell.
Okay,
Trump supporters are.
Did he just say to calm me down?
Okay, so first of all,
pod you down.
Okay,
pod me down. No, that's not going to happen.
Sir, the only person that I could pod down is you. The only person that I could pod down is you. Number one. Number two. Are you saying right now on this show that if you didn't support Donald Trump and you don't support Donald Trump, that it's way over the line if you even developed a friendship, let alone dating someone that happened to vote for Donald Trump? Is that what you're saying?
What do you do?
Answer my
when you're
question.
out of the
Answer
bedroom?
my
What do
question.
you mean?
Answer my question. Don't ask
Go
me a
ahead.
question. No, what do you mean go ahead? Stop talking and listen or I'm going to pod you down.
Is it okay to be
Hey,
friends?
hey,
Brian.
hey, why don't you be
Brian,
quiet? Yeah.
Do you know that there are other things to talk about outside of politics?
Outside, yeah, I know. He doesn't.
Did you know that?
Everything is
so, sir.
And did you know that when he says that he needs to, you need to pod down your female guest, that he sounds like a total misogynist?
Sounds like Myron
Like
Gaines.
a total Trump supporter, don't I? I thought you'd
Okay.
No.
that.
So first of
Not at
all,
all.
so first of all, you're wrong about
You got
that.
Fox brain.
First of all, she did
No,
not
I
vote.
have a brain.
Last time around, my understanding.
You do have Fox
Are you going to
brain,
shut
very
up for a second? Okay, be quiet.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. That's very nice of you to be quiet on my own show. Thank you,
All
sir.
right.
That's very.
Don't make me pod
That's very
you down.
sweet of you. Very sweet of you. First of all, I know you think you're
And
really funny.
if he's a Democrat, he's not making them sound very
First of
nice.
all, Amy, my
Yeah, I am.
Are
but
you gonna?
Democrats
Hey,
are fighting back.
shut up
We're not
for a
gonna lay
second.
down.
I have lots
Calm
of
down. Calm down.
Yeah, say
Yeah.
I have a
They're
lot of
all
good friends
traitors.
that are Democrats.
Okay. So first of all, it's my understanding that Amy did not vote for Donald Trump.
I'm not telling you.
Okay, I know she's not telling me, but that's my understanding. Number two, you are making the case on this show right now that if you're anti-Trump or a Democrat or you despise Trump, that you can't have any friendship or relationship with
That's
somebody
sad.
that may have voted for Donald Trump. I completely disagree with you because there's also a lot of people I know that voted for Trump that understand that they made a mistake. There's also people because they come from, now I don't agree with them. They come from staunch Republican families. They can't vote for a Democrat, which by the way, I disagree with that. But to say that you can't even talk to people like that and can't be friends with somebody like that, sir, makes you
small.
Yeah. I just don't understand your way of thinking, sir, at all.
It's not.
And it's really sad, quite frankly, that you would have that. And the fact that of all the serious things that are going on in the world today, yes, I am, and I have dated people that voted for Donald Trump. I've been
It's none of his business. You don't have to explain why.
Yeah. And the fact that outside the bedroom,
that's disgusting.
yeah, that the only thing that we can
Inappropriate.
talk about is politics. I'm going to be honest with you. Outside this radio show, or if it's not a job-related event, I don't talk politics with people. There's a lot of other things that I talk about with people, sir. How could you be that short-sighted to not understand that? As I pod you back up, by the way. As I pod
thank
you back
Brian.
up.
Thank you. Okay, listen, that's a straw man, but I'm not saying
No, it's not.
No. Hold on a minute, please.
You're not a straw man.
It's not, yeah. You
Not a
could be
straw man.
friends with somebody who voted for Trump once. You said he's currently a Trump supporter.
Once? So you get only one time. Once. Is that your rule, sir?
No, triple Trumpers are terrible human beings.
Did I say triple Trumpers? Did I say that?
You said she's currently a Trump supporter. So what, she's
no,
18?
I did not.
Did she just vote for one time or
Sir,
what?
the problem I have with this conversation is you have a very difficult time listening. Did I say right now that she was a current Trump supporter?
You said she was a Trump supporter on Tim Pool.
Sounds like you have a Joe Biden. Sounds like you have a Joe Biden stutter, sir. What I did say is that she voted for Donald Trump.
When?
Boy, you really are. It's an endless game with you of
Everything
idiocy.
is politics, Brian. If you guys go out and talk about, the
Sir, are you
weather,
married? Sir, are you
climate
married?
change.
Are you married, sir?
Yes.
Okay, and what do you guys?
I didn't go the way you thought.
What do you guys do?
Yes, I got you.
No, I guarantee it. Well, what do you guys do outside of sex? Outside of the bedroom, what do you guys do?
Well, she votes Democrat.
I didn't
She talks
ask
about
you,
a lot of
sir. I need you to pay attention to my question. You're struggling again. Answer my question. You guys are married. What do you do outside of the bedroom?
We play video. Work mostly.
Work. Wow, it sounds like a great relationship. Okay, so outside the bedroom, all you do with your wife is work? You can't give me a
No.
better answer than that, you fool? Give me an answer.
We go bowling. We watch
You go back.
movies. What do you do? Do you have
okay,
any
got you. So now let me respond to that now. Okay. Are you
ahead.
claiming that I'm not capable of going bowling or watching movies with somebody that once voted for Donald Trump? Is that what you're claiming, sir?
No.
Okay.
Did she
So
vote
you
for
asked
Trump in
me.
24?
You asked me. Hey, focus, sir. I need you to focus. Okay.
That's a yes.
Sir, I need you to focus.
All right.
I need you to pay attention. I need you to
Okay.
focus. You made the claim, Amy, correct me if I'm wrong. He made the claim, what can you guys do outside the bedroom? Meaning and referencing or the fact that we don't have anything in common and we
Correct.
can't do anything outside of sex because she voted for Donald Trump. Sir, that makes you an imbecile. Okay, it makes you an imbecile.
Does it?
We just proved it on this show. We just proved
What
it on
does
this
she
show.
think about minimum wage? What does she think about?
I'll tell you what she thinks.
climate
I'll tell you.
change?
I'll answer.
What?
Here's what she thinks about minimum
Go ahead.
wage. You should be making minimum wage because you're an idiot and you're a very uneducated.
Yeah, you got a
Bye. Have a nice time. Have a nice time, sir, with your bowling and your work with your wife. I'm sure it sounds like a very exciting relationship.
Maybe they both work at the bowling alley.
Yeah. I think the only person carrying the balls in the relationship is his wife. That's just my personal
If she
opinion.
exists.
Yeah, if she does. I don't know. I know that might be the 40-year-old virgin. I don't know. Anyway, wow. All right. These are some of the callers I get. It's really mesmerizing to me. 702-221-7283. 702-221-SAVE is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. Let's go to Terry. Terry is next up on BTL. What's up, Terry?
Hey, good afternoon, Brian. Good afternoon, Amy. On a couple of topics that we were talking about today, I totally agree with you, Brian, about the comments that you made about Marjorie Taylor Greene. I know she was on CNN, I think, yesterday, making an attempt to apologize for a lot of the things that she's done. I wonder if she ever apologized to the student David Hogg that she stalked
I remember.
in Washington. Did
Amy,
she ever apologize for her behavior?
Terry, hang on 1 second.
Biden?
Hang on, Terry, you brought up a good point. Hang on 1 second, Terry. I'll go back to you.
Okay.
Amy, do you remember when Marjorie Taylor Greene was chasing down David Hogg?
No, I'd forgotten all about that.
Yeah, that was despicable
That was
behavior.
towards the beginning, right? Of her.
This is not that long after he lost many of his students and friends in that horrible shooting. And I happen to be friends with Fred Gutenberg, who lost his daughter. That behavior by Marjorie Taylor Greene, in my personal opinion, is the real Marjorie Taylor Greene. You agree?
Most likely, because that's what she actually showed the majority of the time, was that she was more eager to have attention, any kind of an attention, whether if it be good, bad, healthy, unhealthy, toxic, and it was mainly toxic.
Yeah. Go ahead, my dear.
So the other person, remember her behavior during Joe Biden's, speech to the State of the Union address. Her behavior then, did she ever apologize to him? So I don't know. The jury's still out with my opinion on her. I don't know.
She's
I'm
embarrassing.
Not
I agree with you. She's completely embarrassing. Once again, I'd like to give her the benefit of the doubt and say better late than never, but I have a tough time with that.
Yeah. And then the last thing is about the pricing of things, the way food prices are going now. I don't know what planet Donald Trump lives on, but I can tell you my $17 3-pound Sunday roast from last year is now $36 for a 3-pound roast. So, again, he needs to stop putting the lies out there and tell the truth.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, my dear. Thank you. I appreciate the phone call. As I try to say, Amy, on this show all the time, I think there are different types of people who voted for Donald Trump. There are the sicko fans and the cultists, the people that go to his rallies that think he's the next Messiah. Those are despicable people. I don't want them in my life in any way, shape, or form. It could be somebody that I'm dating. It could be a friend. It could be anybody. And by the way, they're not in my life. I know people in my life that did vote for Donald Trump, some of whom admit that they made a mistake and they just couldn't. And I disagree with them. Like, I try to find out why they didn't vote for Kamala Harris. And I disagree with their reasoning behind it, but at least they can admit that Donald Trump is a bad guy and they shouldn't have voted for him. And some people are so stuck in their ways because they call themselves Republicans. But I could at least have conversations with those people, right?
Right.
And the idea that you can't be associated at all with somebody who voted in a different direction than you did, while I disagree with them, the idea that you can't even talk to them is not something that I agree with. Now, there's a base of his supporters that I don't want to talk to, or if I do talk to them, they're on this show or I'm interviewing somebody. But I don't want to be friends with people like that. But I'm also not the person that's going to shut the door on everybody that at one point in their life supported Donald Trump, like you.
You've got to be a really small individual to think that your way is the only way.
Yeah.
In everything. And even when I would go in studio, at MSNBC, and I was on there for years. When I would go in studio, I would have full blown, very nice conversations with other panelists and hosts where we didn't agree on hardly anything politically, but yet we had the best time. And we were so kind and cordial to one another. And I'm still friends with some of them behind the scenes to this day. Even the supposed, left-leaning commentators and hosts on Fox. I'm still friends with behind the scenes, because you can be a normal, nice human being and have disagreements. There's more to talk about than just politics, thank God, because this would be a very dreary, miserable life if this is all we did was.
I agree.
I mean, you and I wouldn't be friends.
Yeah, I agree. And, you know,
if we were that narrow-minded.
Of course. I mean, obviously, if you're somebody that thinks the 2020 election was stolen, or you think that Donald Trump has never had any improprieties and he's a great father and he's a great husband, those are people that I'm not probably interested in having conversations
No,
with.
and neither am I, quite honestly.
It's too fringe, and I'm just not interested in
Right,
it.
but I also don't like the fringe left. You know, I mean, pick and choose your poison, but you don't have to be a really small, narrow-minded individual and think that your way is the only way.
I can give you an example of what you're talking about. Well, I think there are more these days, probably more fringe people on the right. I will say this: if you're on the left and you think that transgender women should be competing with women on the playing field, then I think you're ridiculous. And that's one of the things that I have a problem with certain. I think most people on the left don't agree with that, but
they're just quiet.
But I just think that's wrong. And,
Yeah.
and for so many different, on so many different levels and so many different reasons. So yeah, there are some people.
I have trans friends who actually agree with that.
Yeah,
that
I mean,
they
it's
shouldn't be.
It's a tremendous advantage, and there are some people on the left.
It's a loud minority.
I don't like the Ilhan Omars. I don't like the Rashida Tlaibs. I still think there are more fringe people on the right than the left, but there are a few on the left that I'm not big fans of that won't call out Hamas, for example. You can criticize the Israeli government. I do it all the time, but you also have to criticize Hamas. And if you're not able to do the two, then you don't have any credibility. That's my personal opinion. So yeah, you're right. There's fringe people on the left. There's fringe people on the right. Those are the people that I don't get along with. I also usually don't get along with extremely religious people, no matter what side of the aisle you're on. Now, you can be religious, you can do what you do, and that's your decision, but don't tell me what to do.
Right.
I don't get along with those kinds of people. The people that think being gay is a sin, the people that think if you have an abortion, it's murder. You could have your opinions on abortion. You could have your opinions on being gay. Guess what? Don't be gay. But like, those are the kinds of fringe people that I really struggle to even be able to have a
But guess
conversation
what?
with.
Even if you are around somebody who has those beliefs, you can pull up a million other conversations to talk about. You don't have to sit there and talk about the one thing that you guys definitely don't agree on.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I do with people all the time.
Yeah.
I am very close with people who and on certain issues, do not see eye to eye. It'll never happen in a million years. And we just know that. So we have respect for each other, that we know these are the topics you never bring up if you still want to receive a hug and a high five.
Yeah, I agree. Now, like I said, there's always going to be a percentage of people that I don't want in my life in any way, shape, or form. And some of those people are not in my life because they're lunatics.
Yeah, and you know what? And you're smiling.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
who cares?
I don't talk to those people, you know. And quite frankly, those people probably don't want to talk to me either, because I call them out and they frustrate me very much. But I'm not in agreement with anybody that would say, if somebody voted differently, it doesn't mean that you can't have a lot of things in common politically too, by the way. I do know people who once did vote for Donald Trump, not necessarily in 2024, but people like you, who admit and agree with me on the personal person that is Donald Trump. They agree with that stuff. And I think that's a good place to start. Like, you know,
we could start from the top and probably cherry pick almost every member from the top down to the state level and try to find pros and cons on each individual.
So I agree with you,
Yeah,
but maybe not to the level of a Donald Trump, though. I mean, we never had, January 6th doesn't happen if not for Donald Trump. And the improprieties, the 25 women that have accused him of rape or sexual assault, including his ex-wife, the thousands of discrimination lawsuits, the bigotry, the racism. While I agree with you, you see that I'm sure
that are just filthy human beings
have done
behind
some
the
bad
scenes.
things, but I think Donald Trump would be at the top of that list. I just think he's an awful, despicable human being.
So are you calling him a 1%er?
Maybe, but I don't know. I look at somebody like Kamala Harris, and I know she's in the distance here, but she's a good mother. Seems like a really good mom and a good wife. And I'm not saying she's perfect, but she seems like a decent human being. And I can't think of one. Oh my God, I can't believe! Look at that! Look at this! Look at that! She hasn't stolen money. She's not cheating on people. She's not certainly not accused of sexual
The people
assault.
that I know who actually know her personally, outside of her latest run, do say that she's actually very personable. She's
Yeah.
very kind.
Yep.
She's fun to hang around with.
Yeah.
She's easy to have a conversation with. It just doesn't play well when it's time for her to be the political version of
Well,
herself,
I mean, she didn't have a lot of time, and I think that there were probably some better candidates out there.
Yeah.
But doesn't mean I don't have a lot of respect for her. But the idea that she thinks she might run again is ridiculous.
That's
Please don't.
crazy.
Hillary Clinton, stay off to the side.
Yeah.
Kamala Harris, stay off to the side. It's
They
time
need to have somebody new.
Yeah, it's time for some new people.
Yeah.
And Kamala, I wish you the best of luck. You're a nice lady, but you had your chance.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it was all your fault, which it wasn't.
Because if she runs, that's another win for
Yeah,
the
that
Republican
can't.
side.
That can't happen. And I don't think she would get the vote in a primary,
No,
by
she
the way,
wouldn't.
either. So we'll have to wait and see.
And
But,
plus, I think
yeah.
the donors would close their checkbooks real
Most
fast.
likely, I think we need some better people in there now. Whether that's Gavin Newsom or
It's
whether
not Gavin Newsom.
well, it could be him, Josh Shapiro.
Yeah, go back to those. What about Andy Bashir?
He's a good guy.
Yeah,
He's a good guy.
Yeah, Josh
Smart.
Shapiro was a good one.
Yep. Who's the governor of Maryland?
And I'm not endorsing any of these people. I'm just saying these are
I
other
understand.
options.
They're decent people, and I think there are better options. Well,
Yeah.
Amy, I do appreciate you being here. It's very good to see you. It's been a little bit of a while. Glad you're doing well.
Yeah, thank you.
Back here in Las Vegas, right? So good to see
Woo-woo,
you
back home.
Good to see you back here. And I noticed that they just honored Lois Tarkanian.
Yeah, they added my mother-in-law's name to the
Yeah,
court,
that's
which was
cool.
really nice because, quite honestly, without my mother-in-law and her educational background and her assistance with the
Yeah.
players, they most likely would not have even made it to the court
Yes.
in order to play for my
Lois-
father-in-law.
Lois and Jerry Tarkanian, a
They
legendary
were
couple.
a solid team.
Two legends, and will always be remembered here and everywhere for their accomplishments in their careers. Amy, I do appreciate your time. Thank you so much. It's good to see you. We'll have you on
You
again
too,
soon.
thanks.
Okay. All right, everybody. That's a wrap. PushingTheLimits.live. Thanks everybody for joining us. Tomorrow to start the show, Ron Filipkowski. You're not going to want to miss that. See you guys tomorrow. Have a great day.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premier Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Kelb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yusufzai 8 years ago, made it